The story begins with the breathtaking beauty of a remote island known as Helip, located in the middle of the open sea. This uninhabited paradise becomes a vacation destination for a couple seeking to enjoy their time together in a different atmosphere. To make this dream come true, they are willing to save money for years, just to rent a boat and experience the thrill of a getaway in the vast ocean. However, the tranquility suddenly turns into terror. A woman named Tracy realizes that the object floating in the water is not drifting debris, but the fin of a shark. Panic-stricken, she immediately urges her lover to climb back onto the boat before they become targets of the ocean's deadly predator. Unfortunately, everything is already too late. The ferocity of the great white shark marks the end of Tracy's happiness. The next day, the story shifts to another island, where a couple named Charlie and Kaz go about their lives. Once unemployed, they are now trying to rise again by starting an air travel business. Beyond gaining business experience, they pursue this venture to save money for their future wedding. Although their relationship is often colored by small arguments, Kaz is actually proud of Charlie for daring to change his path and become a small plane pilot, despite being a graduate in marine studies. Yet the harsh reality of life soon begins to weigh on them when their business becomes entangled in debt with a financing company. Kaz grows anxious over the aircraft installments, especially as their business begins to slow down. Charlie knows exactly how to calm his lover. Slowly, Kaz's cheerful demeanor returns. Even so, conversations about their struggling business continue to haunt them. Kaz's attention then shifts to a stitched scar on Charlie's thigh. The wound is the result of a shark bite sustained back when Charlie was still passionate about diving in the past.
Yeah, we do that.
Amid this lingering unease, good news finally arrives. Charlie receives a call from a pair of tourists who want to charter their plane for a vacation to Hellstrip Island. Charlie is overjoyed. Together, they pretend to be busy arranging schedules, allowing them to set a high price. A bright morning bears witness to Charlie's happiness, as he no longer feels burdened by thoughts of aircraft installments. Even more so when the wealthy tourist couple from Japan offers an exceptionally high payment.
Mr. Manase.
Choji, Captain Charlie, CC.
After introducing themselves, Kaz begins to discuss their holiday agenda on Hellstrip Island. She also explains that she has arranged for an experienced chef. His name is Benny. In addition to being an excellent cook, Benny is known as a versatile man, capable of handling almost any task.
So it does.
However, Benny briefly frightens the guests, Joe and Michelle, by telling them that great white sharks sometimes appear in the waters they are heading toward. Charlie reassures them, saying there is no need to worry, as it is not the season for sharks, and the waters around Hellstrip are more often dominated by dolphins. Yet, as we know, Tracy's lover has just fallen victim to the brutality of a great white shark in that very same location. During the journey, Charlie shares his terrifying experience of being attacked by a shark in the past. Since that incident, he admits that he would think twice before ever swimming in the ocean again. Eventually, they arrive in the Hellstrip area, once known as a pearl diving site. According to Kaz, the waters there still hold the wreck of a ship that once belonged to a legendary pearl diver. As it turns out, the person Kaz is referring to is none other than Michelle's grandfather. For Michelle, this trip is more than just a vacation. Her visit to Hellstrip also serves a deeply personal purpose, to scatter her grandfather's ashes at the site of the shipwreck.
Should we take a look around?
Thanks.
Come on, big boy.
What happiness could this couple possibly hide? They no longer worry about meeting financial targets. Working now feels no different from being on holiday, until at last the moment arrives for Kaz to give Charlie a surprise.
I'm pregnant.
Instead of panicking, Charlie feels overwhelming joy when he hears the news that Kaz is pregnant. He even admits that he cannot wait for the day their future child will call him Dad.
You two need to come with me.
Are you okay?
Meanwhile, Michelle is left in complete shock, unable to say a word after witnessing something horrifying. She has discovered the body of a man, revealed to be Tracy's lover, who was previously attacked by a shark. This gruesome discovery brings Charlie back to his own traumatic past, when he nearly lost his life to a shark attack. From the victim's phone, they find a photo of Tracy. According to Charlie, there is a strong possibility that Tracy is still somewhere around the island. He intends to begin a search, hoping that Tracy is still alive and in desperate need of help. Charlie's plan, of course, infuriates Joe. They have paid a high price for this trip, yet Charlie suddenly acts as if he were leading a rescue mission. Even so, Joe and Michelle are forced to go along with the search because the aircraft they are using belongs to Charlie. During the search, they are instructed to keep watch over the sea, scanning for any sign of Tracy. Before long, they spot a capsized boat. They suspect that the vessel belongs to Tracy. Without wasting any time, Charlie positions the amphibious plane closer to the boat. Still haunted by his fear of diving, Charlie assigns Benny to inspect the vessel. He also reminds Benny to knock on the hull if an emergency occurs. Benny soon confirms that the boat is indeed the one used by Tracy and her lover. Charlie remains on high alert, ready to pull Benny back to the surface if anything goes wrong. However, Benny is utterly shocked when he sees Tracy's body, clearly the victim of a shark attack. He immediately resurfaces and informs the others of the horrific sight he has just witnessed. None of them can believe that a shark would appear outside its usual season. Even so, Charlie decides to head back and report the tragic fate of the two tourists to the authorities.
What's next?
Sweeties.
But the situation changes dramatically. A sudden shark attack ruptures the pontoons of the amphibious plane, causing it to slowly begin sinking. The danger escalates as they find themselves stranded in the middle of the open sea. They quickly attempt to save themselves by using an inflatable raft before the plane sinks completely.
Mayday, mayday, mayday. System 2 whatever.
Before the aircraft goes under, Charlie tries to call for help, but no one responds. He then urges Joe, still paralyzed by fear, to climb into the raft.
Please! Stop it all!
Just in time, they manage to board the inflatable raft, despite the looming threat of the great white shark still circling nearby. With mixed emotions, they watch as the plane disappears beneath the surface of the ocean. Charlie is devastated, while Joe directs his anger at him. In Joe's view, Charlie's sense of compassion has only dragged them into disaster. The situation grows even worse as their raft continues to be carried away by the current toward the open sea.
We've been attacked.
It's on its way, isn't it?
By morning, we'll be 75 k's from here.
According to Charlie's estimation, they are now approximately 150 kilometers from the coast of Hellstrip. For that reason, he decides it is best for them to follow the current, hoping it will eventually carry them to another island in the vast ocean.
Get anywhere.
Unbeknownst to any of them, two great white sharks are silently following their journey. Throughout the ordeal, they take turns paddling until they finally spot the island Charlie had mentioned earlier.
What's that? There! Shark! It's a dolphin.
Joe becomes frantic, panicking on his own, when in fact the creatures bumping into their boat are nothing more than a pair of dolphins in courtship. Michelle appears irritated by his excessive fear, worried that her husband might fall into the sea and be devoured by a shark. 7 hours pass. They continue paddling with the current as their remaining supplies grow increasingly scarce. The situation only deepens Joe's pessimism. He feels their chances of survival are extremely slim. He is even convinced that the great white sharks they saw earlier are still trailing them. Charlie grows conflicted as well, especially since what Joe is saying mirrors the very thoughts he has been trying to suppress. In the end, Charlie urges Joe to return to paddling rather than delivering another anxious speech. Joe cannot bear to see his wife suffering, yet Joe's concern only makes Michelle fall more deeply in love with him. Michelle, who had briefly fallen asleep, suddenly wakes up and realizes that she has dropped one of the paddles. As the paddle is seen floating in the water, Charlie is far too afraid to get in and retrieve it.
Yes, no!
I'll be fine.
Yes.
Charlie's fear is soon confirmed. The great white shark is indeed following their boat. For a moment, no one is brave enough to paddle, let alone remain near the edge of the raft. Their suffering is now complete as heavy rain, accompanied by thunder and lightning, begins to pour down upon them. Charlie then instructs the women to change out of their everyday clothes and into diving suits. When Benny moves to help Michelle, Joe grows suspicious. He sees Benny as a man with ill intentions, even accusing him of deliberately seeking an opportunity to touch his wife.
Come on!
Hey, look at me! Almost there.
Give me your hand.
But in the blink of an eye, the kind-hearted Benny is killed, devoured by the shark. The incident leaves Kaz furious. After all, Benny is the son of her mother's close relative, someone she has long regarded as an older brother. Joe is overwhelmed with guilt, realizing that because of his behavior, Kaz has now lost someone she dearly loved. Meanwhile, Charlie continues trying to calm Kaz, who is still consumed by guilt for not jumping into the water sooner to save Benny. Surviving only by drinking rainwater, they cling to life, with no idea how long this suffering will last. At the same time, Charlie searches for something he can use as a weapon. A dagger appears to be something he could use to fight the shark.
That's a terrible idea, Charlie. Please.
Joe.
Here.
Joe quickly tries to climb onto the boat amid the increasingly brutal shark attacks. The situation puts Joe at a severe disadvantage, as he is the farthest from the raft. Like a bolt of lightning from a clear sky, Michelle screams hysterically as she witnesses the tragic fate that befalls her husband. There is nothing more that can be done. In the end, Michelle scatters her grandfather's ashes at that very spot, even though her original plan has turned into a disaster. She remembers that her grandfather once wished for his ashes to be released into the sea around his own ship.
Michelle.
Kaz tries to comfort Michelle, who is drowning in grief over her husband's death. She urges Michelle to hold on to her will to live, just like her grandfather once did, surviving long enough to become the sole survivor. Charlie explains that as a result of the shark attack the previous night, the raft they are using has developed a leak, though not a severe one. Panic becomes unavoidable. Until that moment, they still have not found the island where Michelle's grandfather's ship once sank. With only one paddle left, it is turned into a weapon. The women are tasked with trapping air inside the raft, keeping the deflated rubber boat afloat with their hands. Meanwhile, Charlie remains on constant alert, carefully watching the direction that might lead them to the island.
Oh, shit. Comes close enough.
Before long, they realize that the sharks following them are not just one, but two. A sense of surrender begins to settle in, as if they are standing very close to God, knowing that Charlie's only weapon is nothing more than a knife tied to a paddle handle. Fortunately, Kaz manages to climb back onto the raft before becoming the next victim. They surrender themselves to the current as the two sharks drift away, as if deliberately toying with them. Unexpectedly, the ocean current truly carries them closer to the island Charlie had mentioned earlier. On the verge of sinking, they muster every last bit of strength to reach the island. However, as the sharks begin to draw closer again, Kaz warns that the raft will sink long before they ever reach the shore. Summoning every ounce of his courage, Charlie decides to divert the sharks' attention. He orders the women to swim toward the island and not look back. Panic immediately grips Kaz.
We do this together. Always together.
In the end, they agree to fight the sharks side by side. Charlie then instructs Michelle to swim toward the shipwreck while the rest of them hold off the two predators. As one of the sharks comes into view, Charlie attempts to lure it toward Kaz, who is already prepared with a flare gun. Meanwhile, the other shark targets Michelle, who is getting closer and closer to the location of her grandfather's ship. Their struggle finally yields results. One of the sharks is defeated. Afterward, they briefly share oxygen before turning their attention back to the second shark, which is now stalking Michelle. Failing to attack Michelle, the shark quickly changes course and charges toward Kaz and Charlie. Moments later, Charlie realizes that a far greater danger is rushing straight at him. Charlie's sacrifice gives Kaz just enough time to escape. Overwhelmed with grief, Kaz rushes toward the shipwreck.
Where's Charlie?
Kaz and Michelle ultimately share the same fate, having lost the people they love. Confused and terrified, they are left not knowing what to do amid the ever-present threat of sharks that could strike at any moment. Kaz orders Michelle to head toward the island, while she tries to draw the shark's attention away. Kaz's plan succeeds, though she herself becomes the target of the great white shark. In trapping Kaz, the shark is also trapped, its massive body impaled by the twisted iron wreckage of the ship. Another disaster strikes when Kaz struggles to breathe as her oxygen hose becomes snagged near the shark's teeth. Michelle arrives just in time to help. Now, all that remains is to find a way to kill the shark that has taken the life of her future husband. The death of the second shark finally gives them the chance to swim freely toward the island.